Jersey craft beer. Jersey craft beer.
And we are live. Hello, everyone out there on the internet watching on the latest episode of, I don't know what we're calling this anymore, Facebook Conversations, Facebook Lives, whatever we were going to do it. This is another week of doing one, and I'm here with two people today from two different organizations. Joining me is Eric Orlando from the Brewers Guild and Jeremy from Flounder Brewing. The guests tonight will be here to answer all of your questions, and we want conversations to happen. So if you have questions and comments, please put them in the chat below so we can pop them on the screen and answer them. So I'm Mike, as you probably are aware, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Eric so he can say hi and pass it on from there.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday night. Eric Orlando, Executive Director of the Brewers Guild, New Jersey, founded in 2018. I've been involved Jersey's craft beer industry for about 10 years now. I've been working with folks in the industry for a while. My primarily focus in working with the industry is a lot of the government affairs work that we do, all the laws and regulations that are on top of this industry. Lately, it's been all COVID all the time. We got a cool membership. Jeremy's on the call with us tonight. Has been a member since the beginning of the organization. Mike's been a huge supporter of the industry in our group for a while now. So it's great to be here and really happy to be a part of this and answer a bunch of different questions about our association, Gilded for the Cause beer, what we're working on, and what's going on down in Trenton. And Jeremy, pass it off to you. Tell a little about yourself.
Well, I'm Jeremy Lees, owner, founder, namesake for Flounder Brewing Company. We first opened commercially back in 2013, probably started planning the brewery out in 2010. So we were one of the small guys to open way back when there was only about 25 of us in the state. So currently we're a 3-barrel brew house doing about 500 barrels of beer a year on that little thing. And we're about 2 months away from opening our new location, which is a renovated 250-year-old barns, where we're bringing in a 15-barrel brew house, a lot more space, good tasting room. So it's been a long road to get there, but, just grew bit by bit. And we're looking forward to what the future brings for us, not just for getting out of, this COVID thing and everything, but also just for our new brewery and something that we've told our story about for years online to everybody as we've done it step by step. And, I've worked with Eric ever since way back when I first started Flounder Brewing. So I've done a lot of work with Eric and stuff down in Trenton on just things for the benefit for breweries in the state and stuff like that. So, and I even remember, Mike, when you started NJCB right at the same time I was opening up.
I know, crazy. All these worlds connecting, right? Oh my God, 500 barrels on a 3-barrel brew house.
Yeah. We crank a lot of beer, but we got tired of buying fermenters, and we said we need to buy a bigger system and stop trying to stretch the little utilities in our industrial park. And we wanted to pick a spot that what we refer to as experiential drinking. So we have a beautiful, beautiful spot in the middle of Hillsborough, really keeping the barns intact the way they've been for a quarter of a millennia. There'll be a distillery opening up right next door to us, a startup called Belmara. And just the piece of property is amazing, and we're hoping to create this little great niche to come and visit in Somerset County and in Hillsborough. So,
Yeah, I actually just added the distillery to the list on my website. When I was looking at your map recently, I was like, wait a second, there's a distillery popping up over there.
They're pouring his foundation next month, so
yeah,
that's the construction starting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. For the new year, I added an entire New Jersey craft beverage landing page that has all the distilleries listed out, not just the way they were before, and all the wineries are now listed out. And I even add the current dispensaries, so you can go to all those different all those sin sites, and you can just go to NJCB for all of it now. But it's pretty interesting. I mean, Eric, you can probably talk about what's been happening with the growth around Jersey, especially during COVID. I mean, it's been,
It's amazing. It's amazing. You know what it is? I keep wondering, having dealt with this industry, like Jeremy was saying, I can remember the first meeting with the industry. I think there was like 10 brewers at a table in a restaurant, right? Like literally that was it. And that was like more than half of the industry at the time. To see now that we're like, 130 breweries, there's folks going on their second brewery like Jeremy. And this is it too. I was thinking the other day, particularly with like Jeremy's issues. So he went through a federal government shutdown too.
Okay? Right when I was going to the SBA.
Remember that, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Where it was like, there wasn't even anything in the ground yet. And, the world shut down there too for folks, right? So there was people that had money on the line that federal government shuts down, and all of a sudden you can't get your SBA loan. Like this industry, between the regulations and stuff that's out of their control and COVID and everything else, is just, fought through it, and it's great to see. And then, all of that has kind of like transitioned over to distilleries and the cideries, and now, whenever they finally get to it, legalization and all the dispensaries and things like that it's just like this small business kind of attitude and pursuit is just, it's awesome to see despite all the challenges.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think there's so much room still. The per capita, all that kind of stuff is there for people, right? And I know how a lot of people are. They don't want to travel outside of their 20-ish mile give or take range, but at the same time, there's so much to do and so much to see. And if you're in that space where you're, visiting a brewery, well, hey, what's next door? Oh, there's a distillery nearby. It's 10 minutes away. It's on the way home. Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons I have added a bunch of that stuff to my listing as well, in a better, easier way to find, because it is, it's just much easier. I mean, I've had a Facebook conversation with Sergio from Melavino recently, and he has his meadery is just top notch, but at the same time it's located right by a whole bunch of breweries, so you can't miss any of that kind of stuff when you're traveling around, and it's cool to see all that kind of stuff happening through there. Jeremy, throughout the last few months, you guys had to obviously shift the way you've done stuff. Now, I know being a 3-barrel, you're typically you were mostly, in-house, doing beers mostly in-house with a couple of accounts around, but like on draft. But how did you guys switch and change and adapt during the whole COVID thing? Not even like early on. I'm talking more like since the summer. How have things changed for you guys?
Yeah, it definitely was. The on premises being gone actually was substituted pretty good with people were drinking well at home during the summer and into the fall. Definitely the driveway drinking, the backyard drinking. But the one thing we focused on that really saved our year was, we had this new location coming, and we couldn't do the outdoor COVID permit that existed for outdoor establishments and stuff. Just the amount of stuff we had to go through in front of our tiny little space, it just wouldn't factor for the cost. But we pulled, we have 12 permits a year that we can use under the regulations for off-premises events. So we use those permits to pull. We pull those permits for basically beer gardens in front of the big grassy area where the barns were starting to go under construction. So it let us invite people to come and see the construction start. We had a beer trailer with 8 taps on it. So we served 8 of our beers. We measured out the property to figure out exactly the right amount of people that we can sell tickets per session to keep COVID social distancing. And during the time that we did all of those beer gardens, added all together and stuff, it was probably about 1,200 people total coming out. And the thing that I liked about doing those events is we heard from a lot of people who were saying it was the first time like they had gone out, for the date night in a while, or a family with even a baby, because they felt comfortable that they can spread out and everything. So that was our big pivot. And then we headed into the holidays, and the holidays always carry breweries and stuff strong for Thanksgiving tables, Christmas tables. Now is the time where we're feeling the sting of it more than since this all started. And that's, January and February were always notoriously kind of dark months for the business anyway. That is when, people are doing their dry January and people are kind of trying to regroup. And, March, St. Patty's Day hits and, things go full force again. And now is where we feel the sting of complete drop off of the wholesale. We did, even though we're a 3-barrel brew house, we did about a third of our business was wholesale distribution. And for a 3-barrel brew house, that probably encompasses about 15 to 20 accounts. I have to say a quarter of those accounts are closed right now till around March or April. We went and picked up kegs from an account that was closing for 3 months. The kegs were barely tapped. They were just giving up their inventory. That just made no sense for them to stay open. So that's where we're feeling the pinch. And I know that obviously those restaurants are really feeling the pinch too, that aren't buying the beer or had to shut down for a few months. There's a couple of restaurants that seem to be doing well considering the circumstances, but we're for us personally, we're at a loss of exactly what we can do now for the next 2 or 3 months until we hit that early spring and everybody's going to be jumping to get out and stuff. We're just kind of hanging on, knowing that we're opening a new facility in about 2 to 3 months, which will be double up that boost for us. So, right. But I think these months are going to be rough for many of us.
Yeah, I feel that's happening, not obviously just with Flounder, but, with a lot of the breweries, not just in New Jersey either. I mean, obviously in the Northeast where it's colder than it is in.
Too cold.
Nobody wants to sit outside when it's 27 degrees. I mean, there's not a nobody. There are definitely people that want to sit outside at 27 degrees, but.
Yeah, but you can't pay the staff to appease those 2 people sitting outside drinking a beer. Kind of the conundrum that happens. And our brewery, our capacity is like 5 or 6 people total. Inside, and we have crappy heating. So it's freezing inside. It's not the best situation. So
we really need to get some of those local mom and pop restaurants back open and going, because that's really the market for particularly the guild members, getting those places open. We've been trying to, work as much as possible with those types of businesses and things, just because we know coming out of this, if it's 6 months, a year from now, and they're not around, it's going to be tough, and there's going to be a trickle down effect to all the other businesses that work with those folks. It's going to be tough. So anything we can get open, and I know, there's efforts now to try to think about like, okay, within a couple weeks, a couple months, the numbers do kind of improve. Are there going to be certain parts of the states that should be allowed to open up more than others based on like how bad the pandemic is? That maybe, parts of South Jersey or the shore might be doing better than, North Jersey. Maybe they get to have more people inside the restaurant, which means they might put more beer on tap. I mean, kind of stuff like that. And it's seemingly always a moving target with like everything that we work on, just because, it's a day by day kind of analysis of, okay, how bad is it? How good is it going to get? Things like that. It's tough. And, I feel, I'm not a small business owner myself, but like somebody like Jeremy, I can only imagine like the unpredictability of this, and just how you really have a good flexible business plan to go forward, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it is tricky, especially with some of these small businesses that didn't have the ability to switch into anything, cocktails to go and beers to go and things like that. And also, I think that's very difficult for places that are where some of them that had, the taps, of flowing and things on tap, that now they had, the breweries don't necessarily bring them or sell them cans now, because that was a whole nother shift. And then them reselling cans or pouring cans into cups for them to drink on prem. That's a whole nother, it's a difficult thing. So you never know with that kind of stuff, and it's unfortunate. But yes, we do need to support the local bars and restaurants, and obviously liquor stores that are selling all the product as well. But the liquor stores seems to be the ones that are doing still the best out of all the different venues out there for obvious reasons. But I do feel like the bars and restaurants definitely need a little bit more support. So, that's one of those things. Did we lose Jeremy? I think we might have.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I see my picture's frozen, but I hear you guys. I see you guys moving.
All right. Maybe we'll catch back up. Let's see what happens. But as long as we hear you, we'll have your frozen video there for a bit.
I'm restarting my camera. See if that works.
Oh, all right.
Hey,
so there you go.
There
Look at that. We're back. All right. So yeah, if we continue with supporting the locals and doing all that kind of stuff, but of course you can still go to the brewery and go to pick up some stuff to go. If you're one of those lucky 5 to 6 people that can hang out inside the cold Flounder Brewery, that works too. But at the same time, you can always go to the support a bar nearby or a restaurant nearby and see if we can get some draft pourers. It's I think it was back in maybe like April, May when I started realizing that there was a couple bars that closed, and it was sad. Like one of our longtime favorites closed and things like that, but they closed for good. And there's been a handful of them that did. And so we don't want more of them to close for good, because the more bars and restaurants that close for good that have supported the craft for this long, the trickle down, like you said, it's gonna hurt everyone in the end. And whether it's the guys pushing out 100 barrels at a time or pushing out 3 barrels at a time, everyone is in this together. So it's definitely an interesting conundrum, but hopefully
we really are all in the same boat, even with the bigger ones, because it's just scale. If their sales are cut by 25%, but they also have X amount more in payroll and utilities and everything, so we're all in that boat. And it's just and all of us, I see a lot of breweries posting about it and stuff too, are just really reaching out to say to make sure you still support those on-premises accounts and everything, because they're the ones that work for us. And I've seen too many already around by us close.
Yeah. It's tricky. I just want everything to, and people are, during the cold, obviously people are scared to sit out, not scared. People are reluctant to sit outside in the cold. Then you hear like the craziness about, these igloos don't work. These like plastic wrap shanties, you have to have 2 sides open. You can't have 2 sides open. You can't put a heater. You can put a heater. There's so many different rules and regulations, and it really, it's fluid and volatile. So like to your point, Eric, where you said you can't really keep up with it, so to speak. Like it's because you don't know if they let Cape May County have 50% indoors or 75% indoors, then you're going to have all these people flocking down there. But then what happens up north? That's not necessarily fair either.
We had, I think it might have been like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, which, how many folks are focused on what's going on, with state government at that point. Like throw something out to everybody about, how you were supposed to, reapply to keep your tent up and use space heaters outside.
Yeah.
And everybody woke up the next week and said, I have to send all this paperwork and pay all this money to keep my tent. Like there's certain things that you never thought you'd ever think about, right? Like most of the industry never intended to have this much outdoor business, right? You had folks build gorgeous tasting rooms. You might have had a little bit of outside work, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're all outside and you're turning a parking lot into a space, with tables and all that sort of stuff. And to try to find tents, to try to find pole heaters and stuff like that was really tough. But, there were things that not only were the breweries and the businesses not ready for, but also the folks working in the towns.
Yep.
Like that's not what they do typically at this scale. And, it was almost like, everybody was partnering up with one another to try to figure out how to do this. And I got to say, I mean, for the most part, from what I've heard, at least like anecdotally for some of the members, a lot of the towns have been really cool and just kind of trying to work things out for the best. There have been some towns that have been sticklers about small things. But I think the towns, particularly over the last few years, have gotten the fact that these businesses are very important to people. And it's something that these towns want to keep going. So they've been honestly kind of bending over backwards to make sure that, places stay open, that these businesses get prioritized, so that they can come out of this, and kind of make a go of it going forward.
Yeah, and people got really creative too. The brewery owners and brewers and employees, they got really creative with how they were able to zone certain parts of their space early on and things like that. But did you ever expect to be a wood shop guy? You know what I mean? Did you ever expect to be like a engineer on top of being a brewer, on top of being a business, like that, your own, I mean, these guys were sitting there trying to build things and add this, and now we need to run lights above and connect these things to this. Do we even have outlets outside on that side of the building? Yep. It's just been crazy. I was over at Old Heights Brewing a couple weeks ago, and so I'm sitting there like, our delivery guy's here. I'm like, oh, cool. What are you getting delivered? Wood for the fire pits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right. So they put in 2 or 3 custom made fire pits, circle like round built-in block pits in their front, side, whatever it is. They weren't expecting that, but the inside space had to be turned into the bar. Since you can't be at a bar, the inside space was turned into the pass through from serving. So they would take your order, turn around, kind of hand it to the bar. The bar would pour the drinks and bring it back out and deliver it. So that was like a walkthrough. So so the whole front yard or side yard or whatever, it's just getting creative, and it's tricky, and
I wonder in the next, when the summer, when things, hopefully folks can be more outside and the numbers keep getting better, how much is it going to change? Or people are going to see I want to keep this. All of these different things that I've had during this 9 months, it's not going to be as essential as it used to be during the pandemic, but folks are going to be I like being outside in nice weather.
Yeah.
I like having beer delivered to my house, stuff like that.
Personally, I'm hoping some of the stuff that does come out of it is because the state, because of the local authorities and everything, all had to react quickly to all of these things, that hopefully it paves the way a little bit to, if people, and restaurants included, if they want to get those outdoor premises modified in their applications with zoning, with the ABC and stuff, that there's an easier path forward. And, hopefully starting with, the legislation that's going back to Murphy again about getting a 2-year kind of stay on these outdoor spaces can give us that time frame to then figure out how, whether it's legislatively or locally, to get it easier to have those things become more permanent. Because right now, to just do a extension of premises, like a permanent one on your ABC, paperwork, it can be a several month process, but during COVID times here, things got, done a lot quicker and a lot easier. And I hope it kind of, people can wake up and look at this did work out for the main, the big scheme of things, and let's keep this going, because a lot, admittedly to the authorities and stuff, a lot of red tape was eliminated in a lot of places to make this all happen quick. And hopefully we can keep it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, I knock on wood, this is the worst thing we have to deal with, right? in our lives, in terms of flipped on our head. But the folks, particularly at the state, really kind of stepped up and was all hands on deck to make sure it all happened. But it kind of shows us okay, if you just do that much more of a fraction of kind of work on some of this stuff, things can get so much more better. And I think, you talk to folks in this industry particularly, and this might be the first time they've ever been have a license, aside from their driver's license, of course, a license for anything, and they've been regulated by the state, right? So they're not used to having to deal back and forth with the bureaucracy that's involved. that it really kind of shows that, like, okay, if everybody's kind of moving in the same direction for the same goal, we could actually kind of get things done for good. And hopefully that kind of mindset and that philosophy keeps going forward. So when the next thing comes up or the next thing, we're looking at changing, people aren't automatically just like, whoa, we can't, we just out of the box, we can't do that. They're more open to having the discussion to try to work it out as best as possible. Because I mean, I got a couple of times I've had reporters call me for different articles about different things going on. And, I always say it's like, this is the most alcohol reform that's been done in like New Jersey history in the last like 8 months without getting a bill signed into law.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally happened overnight in simple kind of different executive orders and special rulings and stuff from the ABC and the governor that, there's nothing on the books that says you can drive beer to someone's house. There's nothing. I mean, but they just said, you know what, to support the industry, we're going to allow this to happen. And they did it, and everyone likes it, and the sky didn't fall, right? Yep. So I just hope that kind of mindset continues, in that, folks are continuing to have like open to discussions about this sort of thing, and we can continue to kind of either maintain stuff that we're currently doing, get back some of the old stuff that we were allowed to do prior to the pandemic, and then maybe even push a little bit more and get some new rights and stuff.
Yeah, that's what the consumers want, like I just reading and following along on what most of, what I'm hearing day to day is people want to be able to go to the bar, go to the brewery, inside, outside, if the outside thing is staying, not in negative 25-degree weather, but, normal time. I mean, if it's 50 degrees outside, I'll sit outside. I don't care. But, some people don't. Some people want 70 and up. Well, you got a half a year for that, give or take, for that to happen. But if there's things that are like able to be, that could stay for the long haul, like that's great. And yes, to your point, Jeremy, like there's so much red tape that was cut, but not just for that, not just for the ABC and like the alcohol industry. It was a lot of this stuff. It was cut. On the consumer side, like you need a permit for your house to add your hot water heater. They made that easier. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
They made a lot of that
zoning
stuff.
Side, the subcode side. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of different things on every side of it. And it's pretty cool to see that side. If that's a positive of all this, that's even better. We get work done at your house, and you can, that the person showing up is going to be wearing a mask, and they're going to be doing this, and they're going to, give you appointments. Going to the dentist. Like I have an appointment this week, and it was like, make sure you show up by this time. You have a slot. Mm-hmm. Like, okay.
Oh, it's beautiful. Like, you don't have to wait in a waiting room these days.
Yeah, it's great. I mean,
you actually get in at your time.
You get in at your time. Like, it's pretty crazy. But yes, I hope that there will be soon ending, that we can have 50% and 75% 100% capacity. But we got to have obviously more vaccines out and more people being safe and healthier, and not all that kind of stuff. But
I think that's one of the keys to segue into that that pending legislation again that was vetoed the first time around, is like that's one of the keys for all of us business owners now working in this COVID age. It's going to, even once they lift the health mandate one day, the health emergency one day, we've got, I think, a couple of years of getting the consumer mindset, consumer behavior, and consumer certainty again, to bringing them indoors. And I mean, our seating plan for our new location was designed for family style seating. We only ordered half the tables that we originally were going to put into the space, because we're not going to have family style seating anytime soon. We are going to be sitting shoulder to shoulder with somebody you don't know. It's going to take a long time to get that behavior back, if it even comes back in our generation, in any sense of the way it used to be. So we need that flexibility of what's occurred so far, to give us a little bit more of predictability on the rest of our business. Because, great, my new space has 110 person capacity. It's going to be a couple of years before there's going to be 110 people feeling comfortable in there.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge part of it's going to be psychological, Jeremy. I totally agree. Yeah. Like, I think to myself, the last time I actually sat at a restaurant inside was, I can tell you the date, March 7th, 2020. I mean, I've been out. I've been to restaurants. I've eaten outside when it was warm enough.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of those things like, I trust myself, I trust my family, I trust my wife, but it's everybody else around. And it's just that kind of thought like, okay, I could be trying to do everything possible to try to protect myself, but it might not matter. And it's just a matter of, okay, we got to get to a point where people actually feel comfortable inside and get used to, following these different rules and everything regarding sanitation, wearing a mask and things like that. And then, you try it out for a little bit, you kind of dip your foot in the water, you figure it out, and then, hopefully, go back. By the way, I can't wait to go sit at a bar again. I mean, I over the weekend, I mean, we got into this routine in my house, like, Saturday night, going out to dinner. Even if it was just getting a burger and sitting at a bar and like watching a basketball game, that was like happy. That was perfect, right? Had not having done that for now, 10 months, it sucks. It sucks to not be able to do that. And I miss that. And I want all of us to try to be able to get back to that point where we can just kind of enjoy ourselves again and not always have in the back of your mind of that person's 5 feet away from me. They're not 6 feet away from me.
That person.
When was the last time you wiped
run
down the table? Yeah, things like that.
We ate out a couple weeks ago because it was a milestone birthday for my wife. So it was just me and her went out, and we were kind of in like the outdoor inside section of this nice steakhouse, and we enjoyed it. But it really was odd. It was an odd feeling, and the restaurant was a little bit crowded. I mean, they had partitions between every table, but it was feeling well above 25%. But we were kind of in this corner, so we felt comfortable there. But it was an odd feeling, and I think if even being in the industry and walking through restaurants right now, still doing deliveries and everything like that, if it's feeling odd for me, there's going to be a good chunk of the consumer base that it's going to take some real bringing them back. We've taken steps and we've changed parts of our design as we've been in construction, erring on the side of knowing that we're going to have to present some things to give the customer comfort when they come. We've upgraded our filtration system since we were putting a new HVAC into this barn. We've added some more windows, especially up in our mezzanine. We have a second floor mezzanine. We've added windows up there for more airflow. It is fortunately a Dutch barn that's positioned in a way that when you open the big garage doors, we're building on the front and the back side, it gets huge ventilation. It's the way the Dutch had designed it so many years ago. But we did those things just knowing that we're going to have to help bring the consumer's confidence back into being able to get life back the way it was. But that's not going to happen, this year. Who would have thought that we'd be looking at 2021 now and thinking like how far we still have to go from this. So
yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'm on the optimistic side here. I think people are also sick of sitting home, like you said, Eric. I mean, it was a rough few months. Being outside and going out to dinner outside and like in every different kind of random parking lot, like we talked about. But there's been so many different these parking lot makeshift things. You can mention like I've gone from like this giant tented space that I've seen like the Bolero Park when they had that outdoor space and the rocks that was dumped there and everything else, like it was great. Then you go to these other ones that was just a concrete thing with a tent or two, or like a couple of those indoor outdoor kind of things that were like there's a restaurant around here that has like that literally added a second floor above the outdoor space and made that another outdoor space with two sides open and the front like so it is an indoor outdoor, and it was already zoned for it pre-COVID. It just happens to be they took down the permanent windows and made them like open and closable so they could all that kind of stuff. But it's pretty interesting to see all that. But I know a lot of people are ready to get out and and support these local businesses. Obviously the breweries too, but like we talked about before, the bars and restaurants that need it as well. And if you don't feel comfortable sitting inside currently, you can take things to go, and you can, if they have outdoor stills, do that. There are some places, there's a bunch that still have a lot of outdoor seating, whether they're in their little pod igloo kind of like greenhouses. I've seen those too. like literally greenhouses. It's pretty cool. They're like tents that are
Yep.
And by the
shelters.
way, I don't think ever in my life I've looked at my AccuWeather app more.
It's 50 degrees. Let's go get
Right?
to eat.
I'm always trying to figure out, is Saturday gonna be warm enough to be outside? Is tonight the night that, I mean, that's what it's kind of is. You never kind of thought of that sort of thing. You just kind of went and go. But now I look at the forecast and I'm like, is it gonna hit 50? Because 50, by the way, is my number. 50 is I can be outside in 50. You need.
Yep.
Below that, it starts
Balmy
getting
in the winter. Yeah.
starts getting a little iffy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But
with you.
we-
50 is mine for outside eating.
Yeah.
But like outside standing and waiting, going to buy beers, 30, 35 or higher. That's fine.
It's like tailgating.
Yeah.
It's no different. It's no different. We've
Yeah.
all done
See,
it.
we watched, and I was glued that way because I think thinking back about like summer and going into the fall and even into November, most of the stuff we were doing pulling permit wise was on the weekends because we also did some farm fests and stuff like that to sell beers at, and we actually had a pretty good streak, thankfully, of that early to late fall of really nice weather on the weekends. All the October Farm Fest days this year, which again we usually use our off-premises permits for those, where the weather was incredible. So the turnout was huge. One of the local farms we always do it at Norris Hill, they had the most people they ever had at their fall festivals this year of all years. Partially, I think a lot of people were looking to, local to do what's outside to do. And hey, there was beer there because we were there with our permit. But we had a good run of weather, fortunately. So.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have much snow, knock on wood, this season either. So that's my guess. But that's just me. Yeah, that's just me. Like, I mean, that crazy blizzard we had the other day, that was like not a blizzard at all. That was
But
fine.
see, I could use a snowstorm because we sell a lot of beer the day before.
Well, yeah, I think everyone does. So let's get one in, but make it like on a Monday, so that way.
By the way,
and all the roads can be cleared pretty quick. So
Yep.
By the way, I'm not going any place. I've been sitting at the same chair since March, so yeah.
Once in a while, I change the different beer trays that are behind me, so it looks like I moved. No, but
that's the benefit of at least working in a place I only have one full-time employee because it's been work as usual, at least in that aspect.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of people have the luxury of working from home. I have my day job, which I'm not working from home. I'm physically there, but I'll tell you what, there's no one on the road driving to work. I'm able to get there very quickly, but at the same time, there's nothing I want to do less than sit at my desk at my job wearing a mask while the guy next to me is 4.5 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, and then we back up when we want to talk to each other, so we can be 6.5 feet. It's torturous, but at the end of the day, we're all doing all right, and no one's getting sick, so that's all that really matters, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think we're going to get better, though. I think things will get better. Do you have anything? Obviously, you said a couple months till your brewery is moving over to the new space. Jeremy, you have any beers planned for the next few months that are coming out that are new or different, or kind of what do you have coming down the line?
Well, the next cool thing coming up is February for Valentine's Day. We're doing a mixed 4-pack of 16-ounce cans of 4 of our darker beers, some of them barrel-aged. So it's like our Smooth Operator Vanilla Porter. We've got our Chocolate Milk Stout Indulgence. We've got Sticky Pancakes, which is our bourbon maple syrup beer, breakfast stout. And then we have Dessert List, which is our Tiramisu Stout. That 4-pack is going to be paired with 4 individual ganaches, 4 different flavored ganaches from Carol's Chocolate Creations in Somerville, which is the highest rated chocolatier in New Jersey. So we do like a little pairing. So it's kind of come into the brewery, pick it up for your Valentine's Day date at home. And we do a lot of that stuff with what we call our collaborative partners. Like we do ice cream with Gabriel's Fountain up in Martinsville. So this one's it's chocolates with Carol's Creative Chocolates, because we're trying to do what we can to help also push those local businesses with us that they're not even alcohol businesses, but they need the help in all this as well. So you come out and you buy that 4-pack from us. It's also getting the 4-pack of ganaches from a local chocolate shop too. But that's a cool thing that we're looking forward to for February for Valentine's Day. And then what we're hoping for, keep an eye out, is in March, depending on what Murphy's going to change around in the regulations for how many people are allowed to gather outside again as we head into early spring. We're hoping that we can get something organized to do something for St. Patrick's Day outside in front of what's going to be our new place, and we'll pull a permit for it. But then, after that, it's just come and visit us when our retail opens up in April at the new spot. Yeah.
Awesome. And Eric, I know you mentioned earlier about the collaboration beer with the Brewers Guild. Can you talk about that? I think I might have seen something about a new version of that coming out.
So we're, the last version that we just did, which was the first one, the Gilded for the Cause beer, was hugely successful. I was, thank you everybody for supporting it. Thanks for all the bars, restaurants, and liquor stores for putting it out. And thanks to King Brewing Company, by the way. Mike did an awesome job in helping organizing it behind the scenes, and really, a lot of the beer was actually sold out of their brewery, which was an awesome thing too. But we're thinking about maybe doing at least one more this year, just to kind of keep it going forward. We want to use this whole campaign and these beers to, the first one was more or less to kind of announce the campaign. I think the next one's more to kind of drive the fans of New Jersey craft beer and the breweries that are involved in the guild towards certain issues and some of the things that we're working on. So, while I said that we're kind of occupied right now a lot of our time with just dealing with COVID and dealing with a lot of legislation surrounding it, there's still things that are out there that we'd like to pursue, going forward, that we'd like to link the next release of the beer and drive people through different social media, through websites, to get involved in some of the work that we're doing, to weigh in with the local elected officials, to weigh in with the governor's office, to show that there continues to be support for the industry and some of the changes that we're advocating for. So I think what we may do with the next one is really try to make it more about an issue rather than just the beer itself, and really kind of, engage the consumer to reach out to local elected officials to show their support for the industry.
Yeah, that's great. I think you guys, I don't remember exactly what you raised, but you raised a lot of money for the guild, and I think it was pretty cool to see that. And of course, we love that kind of stuff. I remember back in the day being able to push for the legislation to help in 2012 and all that kind of stuff. And I know people that really like to get their name on a list where they can send more messages so they can get more beer places. So being able to get that info on my platform on NJCB, but also all the social and all the people that follow along through there is really a great thing. So follow along on NJCB and stay tuned for that kind of stuff, guys, because we all need your help in every way, shape, or form, whether it's just sending emails to your local reps from the state, or sending information out and sharing content and getting your friends and family involved and all that stuff. Do you have any other things for the Brewers Guild coming up aside from the legislations you're talking about and things and COVID stuff you're coming down the line? Or
so one of the things that I'm very interested in seeing how it plays out is folks are already looking towards, we're going to start getting the vaccinations. The vaccinations are coming. People are going to start getting them. Numbers are going to get better. What do we do then? And as if the state's going to continue with kind of their statewide assessment of, okay, everybody's open, let's say at a restaurant at 25% indoor capacity. Are we going to allow certain regions of the state to have increased capacity based on their numbers? And there's several pieces of legislation that are kind of in the process right now. Some of them are just apply to general businesses, but there's a package of bills that would actually just pertain to the hospitality industry, which we are being brought into as well. So breweries, distilleries, wineries would be included alongside the restaurants and some of these things, so that if we were in a green stage or a yellow stage on the map indicating what our outbreak rates are, we'd be able to increase to 50% indoor capacity in certain parts of the state. Having kind of statewide rules with regards to tents and outdoor heaters as opposed to county by county, municipality by municipality. I mean, we have 565 municipalities in the state of New Jersey, in this small little state. And each building department, each code official has their say over what's allowed and not allowed on these different things. If we had kind of that more predictability on the statewide level about how you do these certain things, including how you reopen, I think that would be very much welcome to, the industry and to our retail partners. So those are the things that I could see in the next couple of weeks definitely working on. Beyond that, I keep telling everybody in the industry, the toothpaste is out of the tube in terms of a lot of these different things that are happening in breweries right now. And I can't foresee a day when things just going back, let's say, to 2019, the way things were. And I think we have to continue as an industry to engage policymakers and the folks at the ABC to try to make some changes and to see saying, you know what, this has been working for everybody. You figured out a way to regulate it. We want to continually work with our restaurant partners. Let's keep this going. So I think those are some of the priorities that we foresee working on in the next few months. And it also helps now that, like I said, when I started working with the industry, there was 24 breweries or so. Now there's multiple breweries in every county. I think I was talking to the folks down at Cape May the other day. I think we're over a dozen breweries in Cape May County. I mean, they're like 5 minutes away from each other.
Yep. Soon to be even two more, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there could be honestly, a brewery caucus now in the state legislature, and you would capture a lot of folks. So I think just, we've laid the foundation for a lot of the work that we're doing, and we have a lot of support. And I think we just keep that momentum going as long as possible.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And, we're always here for you, and the members are always ready to get, everything they need to get out. I love being able to blast stuff out to get as much support as possible on every end there. We're looking forward to being able to drink at a bar or a brewery inside at 100% capacity, even in a new fancy barn with cross ventilations, or a small 3-barrel space in the industrial park. Like, that's the best part about beer, like trying all this different stuff. And so if you guys have anything else, feel free to blast it out there. I'm gonna let all the members know that this will that we're here, and you guys let them know that you're there for them, and everyone needs to kind of get together and do what they got to do. So if you have anything to say, we'll blast it out. Check out Eric, you can give him some social links and your site and stuff if you want, and we'll go and pass it on to Jeremy.
Just look on, Brewers Guild New Jersey, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all over the place. brewersguildnj.com. Find us on Google and find us online. We're currently, which, part of that Gilded for the Cause revenue that was derived, redoing a lot of our social media and websites. So there'll probably be a lot more functionality to those websites going forward, including a continuous kind of blog updating what we're working on and how to get informed. So, go to those sites, go to our social media, follow us, and look forward to continuing to work on behalf of the industry in 2021.
Awesome.
Yeah, so for anything pertaining to us, it's primarily our social media is the most active right now because we're in the midst of redoing our website, obviously, for a lot of new content. So it's, Flounder, Facebook.com /Flounder Brewing, or Instagram is @Flounder Brewing. And just follow along. We've been very transparent about our whole journey, especially with the construction and everything. We're trying to show everybody what it takes to now, originally build a brewery and now move a brewery. And we look forward to opening it up and continuing help make New Jersey a craft beer destination state. So,
and thank you guys so much for coming. Don't forget to drink local, guys, and enjoy your night. And we'll see you again next time. See y'all, and thanks.
Thanks, Mike.